expand. So.
Well, it sounds like the number one is probably the most helpful here for
Yeah, the group,
these young entrepreneurs to get,
group outreach,
yeah.
you know, and
Competition, I think, is very interesting, would be effective.
yeah. Anything else you guys plan on doing? Is this helping with asking the right questions and being able to take a look at what the big picture is?
Yeah, get enough response so they have some level of validation.
Yeah.
So,
You know, and even let's talk about licensing a little bit. Are you familiar with licensing?
we
So-
haven't discussed that.
Being able to, I'll give a quick example. One of my friends started developing vape juice flavors. Started, you know, he got all the different ingredients and started making vape juice. But he started just doing it as a hobby for himself and some friends, and next thing you know, he's licensing the vape juice, the recipe. He licenses that to a company that makes vape juices, so they just pay him residuals for using his recipe. Anybody know the tan lotion Tropicana?
Sure, yeah. That's a long time.
Long time. If you
Long time.
want to go back and watch Dumb and Dumber, you'll see the Tropicana girls. It's a lot of these things. It's like brands. You know, I start to do. I love listening to the Harvard Business Review on their marketing. But this guy, he was a marketing genius. He took two very simple products. I believe it was coconut oil and something else, and put them together in a bottle and sold it. It's something simple as that.
They get a catchy name and yeah, right?
And then, well, it wasn't even the catchy name.
Who was it? Okay.
His idea was to. One second. I'm still here. Oop. There we go. I was checking to see if I was still here. But his idea was to buy a bus, get cute girls in bikinis, and go to town along the shorefronts at these different beaches and do these events where he just sold tanning oil, you know, using these models. Here's a trivia for you. Power Rangers. You guys familiar with Power Rangers? Which came first, the toy or the TV show?
I'm gonna guess the toy.
The toy came first. Well, the TV shows, instead of doing advertisements for the toy, they did TV shows to promote the toy. So that's actually a promotional arm of the toy itself. Yes.
Later on, I'm thinking about reaching out with colleges and kind of, I don't know if that would be licensing or something else, but reaching out with them and selling the product with their logo on it in their bookstore. That's not like an immediate thing, but I think that would be cool, like for them to support like school spirit, or hey, we're selling this product as well.
Did you know bookstores are independently owned outside of the college?
Really? I thought they were owned by the school.
They are not. They are owned by a company who's contracted with the school to sell memorabilia. Am I right?
I wouldn't know that, no.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Just like typically you're even cafeterias are independently licensed.
So then would I have to license them for the logo? And then just wholesale it through the bookstore?
There are licensing firms that you can get validation through certain approvals. So I had a friend who was then licensed, he became licensed to do, I believe there was a portfolio of products that he bought a licensing package for, because he's also a print shop. If you do this, you also have to think that you're going to need to work with a print shop. And so something also to think about is that window is a different size than your window in your dorm. What makes your product be able to fix that as well?
I'm having just to simplify for the user, I'm doing like a small, medium, large, extra large, like window size, and I'm gonna have the dimensions on that window. Because I know a lot of iPhones now, they have the measuring app, so it'd be pretty easy. And I know, for example, my dad, he brought a tape measure when I moved in, so I'm sure some people would do that to see what dimensions certain things are. So they just measure the window and then input what that is, and they'll have a generalized size. Because it's not gonna hurt you for the curtain to be a little bit bigger than the window. That actually probably make it a little bit dark.
How, and one of the things that I was working on was developing an audio-based social media. And a lot of times it was like, how close can you get to the final product with just your skills? So there were tools that I had to learn in order to, time or money, right?
Yeah.
I need to learn, so that way I can get to a certain point to understand, now I understand the macro, working in the micro, to be able to get out in the macro. So, what does that app even look like from the user interface?
Yeah.
So that way, now you are a technology company that sells blackout curtains. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, there's different, we're in the age of technology, let's use these things, and then being able to easily transfer over your leads, into clients. Maybe start building them out and testing them, and going around and maybe do a video. Hey, I just built these. Drop me a comment in TikTok and let me know if you want one. You can cash at me at whatever. I mean, that's how grassroots sales is done today. So you legit, if you did all these things and got to a place where, be like, send me a picture of it, or, get this digital measure app and I can get the exact measurements and custom it for you. I watched a guy make belts. He was just full leather custom belts, and he doesn't need a job because that's all he does. He goes live on TikTok and does videos, and I don't know if you're familiar with ASMR. So it's like just the sounds of like the leather cutting. You put a microphone up to it, so you saw it, but you're hearing the sounds, and so these are different like content ideas as you think about how your product fits into that market.
That's a good idea with the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's things that can enhance that. What they sell jeans now, you just take a picture or
yeah.
send in a few dimensions or what, but tailored.
Yeah.
Gee.
You look like Conor McGregor. You know, that's the thing. Technology these days, it has it where you could literally take a picture of your window. I'm sure there's that technology, or so it would like frame it and go, okay, this picture is this size by this size, or this window, and then they would hit it and then collect that information, send you a JPEG with the information about sizing and the details. And now you're a technology company. As much as you thought that that's what you're doing, and then you can. Next is the automation of the next steps. Are you building a machine that's going to cut the vinyl and mount the magnets or adhesives? Those are different things you're gonna have to think about. And kind of go down that rabbit hole, if you will, of your thought processes, and being able to. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to become the business, right? If once you set things up in a certain way, you can leave things more untouchable, where all you handle is what you want to handle, and then you may pass the ball off to someone else as you grow it out. Makes sense?
Absolutely.
So, I have other stuff in here, posting confidently. The funnel success, these are success metrics.
Oh, okay.
These are what you're measuring, right? Your followers, your shares, views. These are different touch points that you want to have. Turning customers into advocates, engagement metrics that show how audiences are acting with your content. So, being able to work in the comments, ask questions in your videos, and then be able to follow up in the comments with people. Or if somebody has a really cool post that you think aligns with what you're doing, you can go into like sleep studies, and you probably gonna want to get in with some doctors that focus on sleep, and because they'll tell you that your product is no amount of money can go towards improving your sleep. It's one of the things they tell you is to black out your windows to get better sleep. And then
Doctor recommended tag on it.
Doctor recommended. The 9 out of 10 doctors recommend. You know what I mean? Like that's how that works, and being able to get people that are your cheerleaders, right? That's the engagement. We want cheerleaders. You wrestle. You like having cheerleaders at your matches?
Of course.
Of course. Who doesn't want a cheerleader, right? That's ultimately what you're trying to do. And then obviously that's going to lead to conversions, right? Your sales or your email responses, right? And then obviously you want to improve your customer retention. That's the gamifying aspect of how you keep them. So in that area, you want to look for testimonials, social media engagement, and then ultimately sentiment, right? Having people be your advocate. And it comes full circle. I have in this developing your 2025 social media content calendar. So all of you have the link to this. you can go here. I didn't know, you guys obviously don't have this via email, but there's a link on here that you can go to there. If you want to create your own social media content calendar, you go to file, make a copy, and then rename or replace your company here with your business name, and then save it to your Google Drive. And then you can use that to actually plan out your content. And there are some ideas in there that will help. And this is the bones of setting up like your posts. What are you looking to post? Texting with simple update, images, snapshot, gallery graphics, video. Is it raw? Is it edited? Is it a podcast? Is it an update? Is it themed? Right? Everybody loves something that's themed. So doing lives, so real-time inclusion and interactivity. Audio, you can do things on Spotify, Apple, iTunes. There are a ton of different platforms out there that you can use. Is it long form? Is it short form? What does that messaging look like in order for you to be able to reach your identified audience? Right? If you wanted to do a full overview of your app, it's probably going to be a little bit longer than what you would normally do for a TikTok. That content would probably be better off over on YouTube, because now you are doing more of a demonstration of what you're doing, and that alone is content as well. So we're thinking of, these are almost, we're thinking of, these are almost, video journals. Come with me through my process, right? I don't know how many times I've watched people build houses in the middle of the woods, thinking that I could do that someday. But these are, things that people want to understand. And it's cool to get people into your groove, if you will, right?
Like a behind the scenes kind of,
right?
How it's made,
right?
Yeah.
Ideas. Hey, I'm looking to build, the most innovative, sleep saving, ask the question, hey, do you have a problem with sleeping? What's your biggest problem? Probably light, too much light. You're not going to get enough whatever brain waves that I need to have the type of sleep for me to be an effective person, right? Inform, persuade, entertain, educate, or some sort of community update. Those are typically the main intentions, right? Whatever that's the messaging, but it's not the message, right? So you're informing them of what, persuading them of what, entertaining them how, educating them how. Why is this important? I have a few more slides if you want me to keep going, or if you had other plans.
Well, I have some I want to present too, but about how much longer to go through those, see if they can adequately.
So there's a few more. I can go through them pretty quickly.
Okay, let's do that.
And this is short form vertical video. Short form vertical video, again, I was going back to my experiences with TikTok, is that I was using it for an editor in itself, because it's probably one of the better ones. Now, there are some other high-end video editors out there, but this one, it worked really well for me. I know Snapchat now has the ability to use both the front camera and the back camera simultaneously, and if you can even use green screen. It has the green screen capability, so whenever you're building out quality, you can actually be holding it and it's seeing you, but also potentially seeing your product or service. So those types of things can really enhance the experience of the user, so that way they see a person talking about a thing, not just a thing. Going back to, so platforms, we touched on that a good bit. User engagement, so it has, platforms, so you can use vertical video in TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Snapchat, and YouTube Shorts. So these are different areas that people are engaging in. And you can even use I believe you can use vertical video in LinkedIn as well now. But user engagement has full screen viewing, multi-platform, the ability to tell stories, and then algorithm favoritism. So being able to do your competition research, trending hashtags are important, making sure that your messaging aligns with whatever they're talking about to attach to their algorithm. And maybe even tagging the person if you're doing a response, or you can do duets now, right? So you may find a doctor, right, talking about a sleep study, and say, hold on 1 second, I got you. And then you could do a demo video about how easy it is to hang your blinds. And so that becomes very interactive in how you present yourself, right? And then evolving consumer behavior, normalizing every day. So that goes into your ability to automate whatever it is that you're doing, being able to keep that wheel churning, right? And so these are some of the video editors: Canva, CapCut, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Pretis. So some of these are pretty common. Does everybody here know how to edit video? Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's pretty
Standard thing.
pretty standard for everyone.
Not for me.
Well, and it's a generational thing,
It
right?
is, absolutely.
Absolutely. Editing video. What do I look for whenever I'm editing? You guys, I'm going to skip through some of this. You guys can go through it and look at it for yourself to give you your tips. But one of my favorites is, if you're bored, I'm bored. So make sure you entertain yourself. Pictures, videos. Here's some resources: Pexels.com, YouTube audio library, and then tips on working through the social media calendar that you have access to, and writing the post. So what should you be looking to whenever you're developing? Readable text, if you have text on it, and flat out text over anything graphics is very difficult to read. Just typically put a background on it. I like using red with white lettering, black with white lettering. Some very very visible text. Catchy intro. You literally have 1 to 3 seconds to get people's attention. So what is that tag, right? Is it music? Is it you? Is it a sound effect? to maybe identify that it's you, so that way every time they hear that do do do, right? What is that? That's the sound that they used to make on the radio for ABC, right? Or NBC. Do do do.
Probably.
Or Law and Order, dun dun dun, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, so there are sounds that help people resonate more quickly with whatever it is that they're hearing.
Like the Old Spice theme.
Mm.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Dun dun dun. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, the audio meets video and graphics, right? So you want to make sure that music's tightened up, your video is clean, and your graphics are on point, whether you're using the standard text editor or you're adding GIFs to your video. Those are different ways that you can start using graphics. And you know, making sure that none of it overlaps in key areas. Awe factor, you know, that could be or you know, there can be many different types of how are you pulling on the heartstrings, right? Or the funny bones. But making sure that it's relevant. You know, maybe, you know, is it faux pas to make fun of the itch that you're trying to find, right? You know, you can start thinking of ways that you can build your content strategies, and that becomes going back into making sure that it's trendy or trending, and then, you know, post writing, ChatGPT.
We go back to call to action, anything you can comment?
Call to action, what do you want them to do? You want them to sign up for something? Do you want them to, you know, what is the action? Book now, sign up now, take the survey, join us. Did I say book a call? Book a call. Request demo. Depending on what the audience is looking for. What is your intent for that audience, right? Are they scheduling a call for you? Call with you? So something like schedule now. Buy now. Right off the bat, you're probably going to be direct to consumer. You will eventually become direct to business or B2B, where I was talking to Rex to give him an example. Reebok is not a direct to consumer product. Is it? Is it? Is Reebok a direct to consumer product?
Through the website, but not through like their wholesalers or.
Can you buy through the website? Because you can't buy on Nike website.
Really?
Really?
I don't really buy much Nike stuff. But
Well, I'm just giving you examples.
yeah.
They are a B2B company because you buy Reebok at places like Walmart now. You buy them at Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods, right? It's not a direct-to-consumer product. You may think it is because you see the ads, but you don't buy it from a Nike store, and they typically, the only way that they are a direct-to-consumer product is in their outlet stores, their warehouse type stores. You know, that, or another misnomer is when people actually buy products. So Walmart, for instance, is one of the only companies, I think it is the only company in the world, that allows, or where the person who's selling the product doesn't make any money until that consumer buys the product. So typically a Reebok would contact a Foot Locker and pay for their product, or Foot Locker would buy the product at a certain rate and sell it at a suggested retail price, right? And then, but throw that on its head with Walmart, you don't actually get anything for them holding your product. It's not until your product is sold that the maker makes money on that product. Does that make sense?
So
Yes.
they just put all the risk on the retailer? Because, I mean, they get paid by the retailer, and the retailer doesn't get money until they sell it, right?
The retailer doesn't. The retailer. Are you talking about Walmart, or are you talking about any other company?
Like any company, like you were saying that, at least how I heard it is that,
So like
retail
Foot Locker
pays-
buys stock.
yeah, Foot Locker order so many shoes,
Mhm.
but they already, like Reebok is like already paid, but now it's up to Foot Locker to get their cut.
It's up to Foot
So
Locker
they're holding the risk at that point. Not
They're holding the
shoe company.
risk versus, but they only carry certain lines
Mhm.
because they've already been validated in the market.
Yeah, popularity and
They know that that Nike or Reebok is spending X amount of money in advertising, so they're checking a lot of their boxes, right? And making sure that they are getting the latest and greatest, and
yeah.
why they should be showing off, LeBron tennis shoes over Steph Curry tennis shoes or basketball shoes. Yeah.
Is it almost like a trade-off where, say, using the example of Foot Locker and Nike, Foot Locker assumes the risk of having to sell all the shoes they buy, but Nike ends up doing all the advertising pretty much for them?
That's correct. Yeah.
Sounds kind of like the theater business that we heard
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not that money is made, it's also how money is made, right? There's a trade-off, right? So, like, you could essentially align yourself with a pillow company or some other sleep remedy that maybe they take your licensing and run with it,
Like those new cooling blankets I'm seeing on TikTok now. Yeah.
It's, and a lot of it is brand alignment. You align your brand with something that's relevant, you could blow up overnight. If your content meets your message, meets your audience, meets your ability to fill orders, meets so many different, aspects, then that's the juice, if you will, that, you put money behind it. Where are you putting money towards? How is that messaging reaching your audience, building the network? Let me see here. It's not that you post, it's where you post. That was some great advice that I received. Stay visible and industry relevant by integrating your social post sharing into Facebook groups. Share with pockets of relevant online communities. Ask good questions when sending messages. Do not spam people, it's annoying. Ask for help and you'll get money. Ask for money and you'll get help out the door. So, that's something that
That's good, that's good.
so that I learn, whenever seeking funding and for different projects, the more people you help, the more money. That's kind of the new billionaire model with some of how these people, what is the effect benefit that I'm trying to do with what I've got, and make your people part of the process, right? I think that was a message that I was trying to drill in, is having them part of the process. They now have some dedication, skin in the game. Whenever the people want to see you do well. And that's my lecture on driving leads.
All right.
Is there any questions, comments, concerns? Have some light bulbs go off for some of you, and how you're building out your space.
I think there's information they can rely on for a long time as they build their
Yeah.
venture, so it's very good.
Yeah. So it goes into the key activities pretty hard, and not that you have the key activities, but what they are.
Right.
Cool. Awesome.
I'll ask one more thing. We have one app builder. Do you have any questions? Travis is somewhat knowledgeable in apps, so.
Yeah.
Not particularly. My biggest question right now is, like you said, just the funding of it.
I would say do some research on, there's a free platform, software called Figma. I would take a look at it, because now you have some app integration aspirations, right? That can then help people get fitted for their technology. So that's great. User interface, user experience type tool, where you can, I would say it's a cross between Photoshop, Illustrator, Google Slides. There's two different modes. There's a design mode and there's a technical mode, where you can start linking different buttons to different pages
Okay.
and have them do different things. And there's some great online resources, videos, and free templates that you can even use to bootstrap your idea. And that was, once I found that, it helped me vastly in developing these apps.
Is that Figma or is that another?
Figma. That's Figma.
That's Figma.
And then once you structure everything, it's easy for developers to take to market, because now everything is laid out in a very specific order.
That would be the knowledgeable, time-consuming steps. that
Yeah,
they take.
yeah, that's working in the macro. And there are things like connecting the app to your website and those types of things. So there's, one of the things that you may want to do is, maybe there's technology that's web-based or that's app-based. What makes the difference? Is it more beneficial for you to build an app from the startup, or is it more beneficial for you to build a test website that maybe already has some features and functions built into it? What's going to be the biggest resource of your time that's not going to cut into your budget? That's
So almost like a demo website type thing?
yeah. If you're doing an app, I would do a demo as to not that you have a website, but how, or an app, or maybe it is a website because of the functionality that you have built into it, where maybe you're connecting a camera. But for someone like you, maybe you'd want to have them, not all apps have to live on the phone. Some apps live on watches, some apps live on glasses, some apps live on tablets, and it's all about the functionality of what their ease of use would be. So maybe your app isn't an app that lives on the phone, or maybe it's not an app that just lives on the phone. Maybe it's an app that lives in a smartwatch as well, or an Amazon Alexa, or a Siri, or a Grok, and there's different things that you can kind of tune it to, and even there are some systems where you could build out your own AI, because there are open systems where you can build an AI. That AI relates to a specific knowledge base that you've tuned it to. So it's some pretty cool systems,
Yeah,
and
glad I asked. Maybe that might be helpful.
yeah. But then it's just like, then you become the knowledge expert of that. Not from the get-go. You go in blind. You have a genuine curiosity. Hey, I can do this, or I'm looking to do this. Does anybody have any experience in this? And you're opening up those conversations. So if anybody's get into these different, there's tons of forums, Reddit, GitHub. Every programmer typically has a GitHub account. So getting knowledgeable, about what that is, because that's a coding repository, and being able to speak nerd a little bit. Serious. I'm a nerd translator. Being able to take high-level tasks and understand them at a high level, and because that is not the same as this, but being able to translate them into a concise topic to explain to a team or a person for the benefit of the product sales. Yeah, man.
I would.
Oh, you were just waving at me. No. Excellent.
Well, thank you again, Travis.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information that we can use over a long time, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll close this out here.
You might want to take a break here for 5 minutes or so while we switch over.